I've been a CPA and a money mentor for decades. I've worked with billion-dollar businesses to everyday families. And after staring at more spreadsheets and tax returns than I care to admit, I can tell you one thing. Wealth, it's predictable. The math always maths out. And in this video, I'm going to show you every level of wealth, where you might be, what it feels like, and exactly what to do to climb to the next rung. So you can stop guessing and finally start building financial freedom. We'll walk through step by step through all 7 levels, plus a bonus ultra rich level. I'll give you the tactical moves, the mindset shifts, the traps to avoid at each stage. Think of this as your real roadmap to freedom. This is Building Your Money Machine, where we help you master your money, eliminate financial stress so you can live a life of choice. Because earning more, that doesn't make you free, but a money machine does. And that freedom, it doesn't start with your next raise or paycheck. It starts the moment we get your money to work harder for you than you did for it. All right? So let's go do this. Wealth isn't a finish line. It's a ladder. And if you don't know where you are on that ladder, you're climbing in the dark. Here's the good news. Every level of wealth is measurable, it's predictable, it's climbable. I've spent decades as an advisor, as a CPA, staring at bank statements, spreadsheets, and sometimes shoeboxes full of receipts. But here's the thing. I get a chance to walk through every level of wealth with my clients, but I also did it myself and the numbers behind it. So we're going to jump through it, and we're going to start with level 1. This is the financial struggle dependence level. This is money as an emergency. Bills are late. Groceries feel like a luxury. You've got a flat tire. That's a category 5 disaster. Okay. Now, sometimes we just start there. When I first came out of college, I had a job, but I had student loan debt. I had not been on my own enough to really sustain myself. So here I am trying to figure out. It was a struggle because there at this level, one of the struggles are financial, the money in, the money out, not sure how to do it, how to get the money to work for you is for sure. But the other part of it is a literacy struggle. You would think as a CPA, they trained me around money. But they didn't. They didn't give me the skills to manage money. They gave me the skills to punch a timesheet and to understand accounting and auditing, which were great foundations, but that didn't have anything to do with wealth creation. It didn't have anything to do with financial freedom. It didn't have anything to do with money management, bills, and financial literacy on that level. And so there is this struggle on 2 levels when you're at this level 1 financial struggle dependence situation. And stats don't lie. The Federal Reserve says 40% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency expense. Unplanned expense is another way to look at it. So if that's you, you're not broken. You just happen to be on the first rung. You just happen to be down on that first rung. Now, it doesn't mean that you're stuck there. Every one of us can climb the ladder of wealth. The challenge is the discipline, the behaviors, and the choices you make to get there. It may be that the ladder is really against a steep wall or not, depending where you're starting. So I get it that age, stage, and circumstances may make this feel difficult, but difficult isn't impossible. So, but the challenge is right now, from a mindset standpoint at this level, is that money owns you. We need to flip that script because what's driving all the choices is the money versus you driving the money itself. The focus point here is to find stability, that first level. This is like CPR for the wallet. This is where we have to get critical. This is where we have to get into the details. We have to be very disciplined in doing it. Because if we look at the action steps for people on this rung, the first step is to track every single dollar. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, I am not a believer that deprivation is a pathway to a fulfilled life and to a rich life. But discipline is required on the journey to financial freedom. And part of that discipline is to understand the choices we're making with our money. And so if we're not tracking, if you don't know where every dollar is going, it's time to figure that out, because the basic equation of wealth creation is simple. It is money in, money out. And we take what is left over and use it to build a financial future. But too often we don't have our arms around. We might know what the money in is coming in because we know what our paychecks are and that type of thing, but we have no clue about money out, and we're not in control of it. Guessing isn't a strategy. So here's what I want you to do at this stage. I literally want you to journal every dollar that goes out, whether it's in cash, whether it's in credit, it doesn't matter what it is, but I want you to journal it from the standpoint of understanding what it is, how much it is, what it's for, and here's a big one, what the emotions and the feelings are when you spend it. And what I'm looking for is, one, an awareness of where your money is going. So you have an awareness. This isn't about judgment. This isn't about starting to cut things. I mean, yes, there may be things that we cut, but this is about awareness first, because you don't even know where to cut. Okay. That's like a doctor trying to do surgery blindfolded. Okay. Doesn't work. So what we need to look at is we need to track it. Now, the reason I have you tracking your emotions and your feelings is often we will find that there's this thread of emotional triggers that trigger spending, just like there may be emotional triggers that trigger eating or other things. And when we are able to unveil those and reveal those, we can control those. I'm a stress spender. I'm also a stress eater. I know that stress will do that to me, so I manage it. I've got it under control. But without the awareness, I wouldn't have realized it. And so this is the first action step for someone at this level. The second is this. You're at a stage that we have to build an unshakable financial foundation. And part of that unshakable financial foundation, I talk about it in my wealth priority ladder in my book, Building Your Money Machine, is to create and make sure that you have some breathing room. We call it a comfort fund in there. This is not your emergency fund. This is not your peace of mind fund, as we talk about. This is simply having some money put away as a buffer for that transmission that goes out, for that deductible you got to pay for an insurance claim or a medical claim or anything like that. This is a time for us to get somewhere $1,500 to 1 month's expenses if we can, okay? But if you can't, let's start with $500 to $1,000. Start somewhere. Set it aside. Now, this is a point that you can have where you start to look around and say, how do I make this? I'm trying to get my income in, but maybe there are some things that you could look around the house and sell just to get the $500 to $1,000 in. I just don't want you going into the ditch if something unplanned happens. We need that comfort, that cushion, if you will, to make that happen. Put it away in a high yield savings account. Okay. And so this is the second step. The third step is, if you're using your credit cards for survival, we got to stop it. We got to stop swiping. That's literally like pouring gasoline on a dumpster fire. So if you have the discipline to stop using the cards, great. If you don't have the discipline to stop using the cards, put them away, cut them up, do something, because you cannot dig out of a hole while you're digging down the hole. You cannot fill a bucket when the bucket has holes in it. All right. So this is a time. Now you might look at me and say, but that's the only way I can survive. But you're not surviving. You're like the Titanic that's sinking. All you're doing is kicking the can down the road with debt. We have to get real. If we're spending too much, if we aren't making enough, we have to fix those here. I know that this is a little bit of tough love, but it's the only way for us to get around this is to get real. So this is also a time for us to examine, is there a way to increase my income? Whether it's getting a raise, whether it's providing more value, whether it's getting more skills, whether it's doing a side gig. But we have to get this under control, because if we are in a situation where we're getting deeper and deeper in debt each and every moment, we're never gonna get from rung 1 to rung 2. We're not gonna get to level 2. So this stage, okay, isn't really about wealth. It's about survival. It's about stability. It's about creating that foundation so we can get you moving out of that into the next stage. Okay. And the next stage, level 2, is about solvency. Okay. It's about survival. It's about solvency. This is paycheck to paycheck land. Okay. You're paying your bills. You're maybe paying the minimums on debt. But you look at it and go, one unplanned expense, one vet bill, or a busted water heater, or you got a main that breaks like we had, and you are back underwater. You are deep in troubles. 61% of Americans, according to the Lending Club, live here. That's most of the country. Okay, that's crazy. Okay, the mindset during this stage, or that this rung, is fragile progress. You're out of crisis, but barely. You know that. Okay, you're sitting back going. It's like being on that tightrope where you're kind of going, oh, got one strong wind and I get blown over. It becomes a challenge. So the focus, I need you to breathe. I need you to breathe. I need you to start to give yourself some space to do this. What are the action steps? The action steps here are: we need to pay off all high interest debt. All right. Follow the wealth priority ladder, but here's the challenge. I need you on a debt payment plan. Okay. Get you out of debt. That means that you can't be using the credit cards and carrying balances. You can use them as long as you pay them off. But if you can't pay them off, don't use them, because you're going into deeper in debt and we'll never get you out. Second, we need to have you on a debt payment plan, either an avalanche or snowball method, to get you, because high interest debt is financial quicksand. Okay. And at some point, it is really hard to get out of it. Okay. The second action step is to actually make sure, if all you could get was $500 in the last rung to kind of give you that cushion and comfort, now I want 1 month's expenses. Okay. It'll get you to sleep better at night. I want 1 month's expenses. Gosh, you get a chance to look at it, because God forbid something happens. You look at it and go, I'm okay. I got at least 1 month that I can survive. Okay. Now's the time to really bolster that, put it in a high yield savings account. The third action step here is to automate not only your bills, but your savings. Okay. This is not a time to trust your willpower. This is not a time, because it's already busy and you're still trying to do things and everything. I want this automatic, out of sight, out of mind. I want no friction. I don't need you to think about it. Let's set up everything on your bank accounts, get everything set up your bills to get paid automatically. But also, this isn't just about bill payment. This is about savings. This is about building that peace of mind fund and everything. I also want an automatic transfer of a percentage to that savings account. Now, at this stage, you're not going to be able to hit the recommended 20 to 25% as I have in my book. So that's okay. But let's start with something. It could be 1%, it could be 2%, it could be 5%, it could be $50, $100, but make it automatic. No willpower, no friction, and make it happen, okay? Because this is the rung where you're no longer drowning. You're doing okay, but you're still treading water. We need to get you swimming forward. We need to get you moving forward. That starts as we get into the next level. Level 3 is now stability, okay? All right, now we're talking. This is the time that happens, because you've got some footing now. Bills are covered. They're getting paid automatically. You've got a little bit of an emergency fund. You're starting to get that unshakable foundation in place, and you can actually breathe and exhale and not suck in a lot of water because you're treading water. But here's the mirage that you have to be careful about. Thinking that stability equals security. It doesn't, okay? It's just broke with a cushion, okay? Most people park here for decades because it feels comfortable. All of a sudden, they start to have some sort of net worth, and things seem to be going well on that face. And so their net worth all of a sudden is 10,000 or 100,000. And the 100,000 is a good clip. It's one of the critical tipping points for it. You're saving maybe even more, 10%, even as much as 20%. All of a sudden, things feel better. And you're able to say to yourself, hey, I'm fine. But see, fine, that's not freedom. So our focus at level 3 and the stability level is to build momentum. You're doing great here. You're starting to build, but the key is we don't want to slip backwards. We want to keep pushing forwards. And so here's the action steps here. Now I need you to build that emergency fund. Now's the time to start pushing. That means 3 to 6 months on the emergency fund. If you want to go to a peace of mind fund, you're going to go to 9 to 18 months. We're going to really start to build this up in a way that gives you an absolute unshakable foundation. Liquidity, making sure that your debt is in place, okay? So action step 1 is getting the expanded emergency fund in place. Step 2 is getting your investing started. Get it consistently, all right? That means that I want you to start putting money away for your future. This is 401ks, employer matches, IRAs, index funds, ETFs. There's a whole process that I can take you through. It's called the Wealth Priority Ladder in my book that tells you what you do with each dollar and what account it goes in first to optimize your wealth. But first things first, I just need you to make the decision. I'm going to start investing and going to take not only what I've saved, now that I've got things saved, I'm going to start putting it to work for me, because a lot of people will say that it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that matters. No, that's not even true either. It's not how much you keep. It's how much you get to work for you that matters when it comes to freedom. And so I want to get this money working for you, and I want to do it simply without friction, but I want to do it in a way that optimizes that wealth. So we need to start investing consistently. Low-cost ETFs and index funds will get the free money first by, if I'm in a employer 401k and they're giving matches, we want to get there. And then there's a hierarchy of where you want to invest to optimize it. Then action step number 3. This is another audit your spending step. This is where we can find ourselves in a place where lifestyle creep comes into play. And so I want you to start to go back to journaling a little bit, checking what your spending is, look at what you don't care about. This is where we get to start looking at our spending and saying to ourselves, is this in alignment with what I care about, with my values? And if you don't care about it, then stop it, cancel it, okay? But then that gives you the space to double down on the things you love. If you're wondering, wait, am I in stability or security? Well, I've got something that'll help you out with this. Beyond this episode, I want you to make sure you finish this episode. But after this, I want you to go to your Financial Freedom Zone quiz, is to break it down. To take this quiz, it will set you up to understand exactly where you are on this journey and what the next steps are. I'll give you a report totally free. You just have to click the link, and I'll put the link in the show notes down below to allow that to happen. So it'll give you clarity on all of that. All right, with that, let's go to level 4, security, okay? This is the first stage where your money is working for you instead of the other way around. The debt is gone or being eliminated on a regular basis. Investments are being made regularly and growing. You're not panicking every time the phone rings with the thought that maybe it's a bill collector. Okay, all of a sudden, you're actually getting some net worth numbers that are meaningful. Net worth is all of a sudden crossed 100,000. Maybe it's approaching 500,000. You're saving more, 15 to 25%. And you're thinking differently. You've shifted your mindset from saver to investor. You started to think about things and saying, instead of just saving and everything, you are looking to build engines that will perpetuate and grow without your effort. This is where you start to build things beyond the IRA. Okay, so the action steps here for this stage is to, 1, invest beyond the IRA accounts, the retirement accounts. once we know that you've got your funding into your retirement accounts, we can start to look at other assets, other things like your outside brokerage account. Maybe it's going to be a 529 plan for education costs. It could be possibly real estate, maybe a side business. You're looking beyond the retirement accounts here once you start to get here, but we have to be fully funding the other elements of our investing first, okay? The second action step here is that I need you to start saving and putting away well above the US average of the savings rate, okay? The average savings rate right now it's an abysmal 4.2%. It's horrible, okay? It needs to be in the 20 to 25% range. So we got to start pushing at this stage because you're at a stage where you've got a decent amount of net worth. It's something that's going to get momentum. You're getting better income. That's the game. The third step is this: time to protect what you've built. That means right insurance is in place, whether it's disability insurance, life insurance, property insurance, umbrella insurance, all those things. You want to verify, do I have enough insurance? And maybe this is the time also that you're not looking at saying, I just want the minimal coverage, because you're starting to build and it's going to continue to build. And so maybe we need to pay for additional coverage. Do you have your estate documents in place, especially if you have a spouse or children? Are there ways for you to avoid probate to make sure that that's dialed in? Are there other areas of risk that might come into play? Should we be structuring, if you have a business interest, should it be in an LLC or an S corporation and everything? This is the time to make sure that you are protecting things, because this is the time where you get to calculate your crossover point. This is the day your investments earn more than your job. That's the crossover point. That's when the machine starts to hum. That's when your job becomes a job of choice, not a job based on demands. This is where you start to transition to level 5. Level 5 is independence. Independence means that your investments cover your essential expenses. It covers your housing, it covers your food, it covers your utilities, and you've got work optional. Independence actually will take you from that and replace your income. And when it does that, you're fully financially independent. But you may not be financially free. We'll get there. All right. But it becomes work optional. Your net worth, it's probably approaching, it's in the high 6 figures. It could be into the 7 figures. Okay. 500 to maybe $1.5 million, depending on your lifestyle. Think about this. The benchmark calculation that people will make is 25 times your annual expenses. Now, there are some caveats there. That's the 4% rule, but there's some caveats there. It's meant for a certain kind of portfolio, and it's meant for a 30-year retirement. So if you're planning on retiring at 50 or even 60 or earlier, that's more than a 30-year retirement. You need to adjust it, but it's a benchmark to start with, okay? Your mindset is no longer looking for obligations, it's looking for options. Things start to shift here, okay? Your action steps, it's about, 1, now starting to look at multiple income streams, okay? Yeah, people say that millionaires have an average of seven income streams. Now, you can have a bunch of income streams. It could be dividends, it can be interest, but the bottom line is this: I need one income stream humming and doing well. Then I'm going to use that to build these other assets that have more income streams that are coming from it, but they don't take the same amount of effort. That's the beauty behind having a money machine. I talk about in the book the 5 levels of income, because there's 5 levels of income. The bottom 2 levels of income require a lot of your focus, energy, and time. That's not where your money machine's built, but the fuel for the money machine is there. The top 3 are asset, residual, and portfolio income. That's where your money machine's built. That takes far less time than the bottom 2. That is where your freedom lies. So we want to build income streams that allow that to happen. Number 2 action step is for you to start to look at your tax strategy. This is a place where now you're getting into a place where taxes actually matter even more. So this might be a time for you to look at, should I be doing Roth conversions? Should I be doing, is there healthcare planning? Is there capital gains? Is there loss harvesting? Different tax strategies come into play here. You'll need to get advice for it, but I'm just trying to get you to start looking at things through those eyes. And then the third step is this might be a place where you start to accelerate your mortgage. And I say might because it depends on your situation. It depends on your investments. It depends on the mortgage rate that you have. If it's a high mortgage rate at 7%, then maybe we do something about it. But if it's a low rate like I have at 2.75%, I'm not paying it off any quicker, but I have the capacity to pay it off, but I leave it invested, okay? So this is the game you're playing. It is the time where you cross that line into what I would say is the freedom from a boss money. This is where you can replace it, and now everything's optional. You have choice, all right? And now it's on your terms. That leads me to level 6. And level 6 is what I call freedom, okay? This is where you stop asking for, can I afford it? You start to ask, do I even want it? That's the game. At the freedom level, this is not about replacing and paying for your expenses. This is not about just replacing your income. This is about having enough assets and investing that it is paying for the vision you have for your life. Net worths here will go to $1.5 million to 5 million and even more. Okay. The currency, the mindset now starts to shift from the money side of things to the time side of things. See, I look at things now through the eyes of time, realizing that the most valuable currency I have is time. And I measure the things I do and my investments in the amount of time and life it takes from me to do it, to decide whether I'm going to make it or do it at all. My focus has gone to designing my life. So this is where you get to design your life and have agency, complete agency over your time with the vision you created to kind of create that life. This is where you start to allow yourself a lot more latitude to do the things that you've dreamt about, because that's what you were working towards. So what are your action steps here? Your action steps are, first, I want you to create some no budget zones. It could be health, kids, education, books. What matters most to you? What are the things that are visceral joys that aren't going to completely destroy the plan? This isn't about hoarding and not living. We should be living the whole way up. But this is the time where you've built enough that it's going to allow you to live into the vision you had for your life. The second step is, if you haven't done it already, this is also a time to build your dream financial team. The CPA, the estate tax attorney, an advisor or planner if you need, someone like me that operates as a family CFO. To have the dream team that is willing to look at your world through your eyes, through your vision, and help it become a reality. And action step 3 here is to structure your days with purpose. Here's the thing. It's not about just being free and not knowing what to do. It's about having freedom with direction. Otherwise, you're going to be binging Netflix all the time. See, people actually transition into retirement and have a difficult time because they didn't think about, what's my purpose? They had a purpose when they're in their working lives. So I tell you, as you're coming up here to this level, to this rung, to make sure that you know what that purpose is every rung of the way, every step of the way, and allow that purpose to just meld in as you would go through it. And as you move into this stage where you're living your vision, that's the dream. See, I had an experience just recently where I was keynoting at a conference, and I go to these conferences that I'm going to speak at, and I usually go there early and I participate. I want to learn. I want to grow. And they were doing a visioning exercise. And I decided to do the visioning exercise with them. And I had a hard time. I called my wife. I said, it was a harder visioning exercise. And she says, why would that be? I said, because I don't need anything. I'm living our vision. We're living the vision that we want. We're blessed to do it. I mean, it's been a journey, but everything on this vision board or this vision exercise has nothing to do with stuff. It isn't about mansions. It isn't about boats. It isn't about planes and cars. It's about people. It's about moments, about missions. It's about movements. It's about memories. It's about meaning. And I think that when you do that, that's the driving force for everything, because it's not about the money in the bank. It's about the richness in your heart and your life. At this level, the ROI isn't the question. The joy and the impact are. And that leads to level 7. This is abundance and legacy. Here's where wealth really shifts. And it is from moving you from your life to others' lives. Your net worth is high. It's, in the multiple, 6-7 figures, high net worth and beyond. It could be 5 million. It could be 30 million. Okay. You've shifted from accumulation to contribution. Your focus has gone to stewardship. How do I take this money machine and how do I make sure that it stays intact to allow others to grow and benefit from it? So your work here continues on. And it's not about the money. It's about the missions. It's about the movements. It's about all those things. And this is a critical step. Like my son, raised him since 6 years old as a single full-time dad till I met Stephanie and got married. Okay. He's 35. His wife is 32. They've got 2 beautiful grandkids, our grandkids. And he, just because he was my son, wasn't going to get the machine unless he proved the ability to steward it the next stage. Because as I wrote in my book, there's a chapter in there that says skill sets before assets. This is the time where you got to make sure what's going to happen next. The stewardship. Okay. So your action steps here are estate planning and trusts. If you haven't done them already, it's important, because here's the deal. There's a study out there that shows that 70% of wealth is gone by the second generation. Why is that? See, because we get so caught up during this trip up the rungs and the wealth ladder to start looking at it and saying, I got to accumulate, and then I got to transfer it. See, we're so focused on accumulation and achievement that we transfer the assets, but we transfer them when they don't have the right skill sets to handle the assets. So our job as the steward of this wealth and this machine at this stage is to start building the skill sets, to bring them in. Allow them to earn the right to have the stewardship. Just because it's blood doesn't mean they get it. 70% is gone by the second generation, 90% by the third. Okay? We want to avoid that because you did a lot of hard work to make it happen. Let's give them the values. Let's give them the skills. Let's give them the character. Let's give them the process. Let's give them the system to carry it to the next level. My son, his wife, I have no question about that. All right. Action step 2, philanthropy and community impact. I'm in a season of service in my life. I'm still working, but it's all by choice. And I'm doing the things that I love to do to help people like you, to help people climb the ladder. That's what I want. That's what I want. Action step 3, teach what you know. Whether it's your kids, teach them financial literacy. Two of the greatest skills we can teach our youth and our communities is the skill of communication, the skill of financial literacy. We don't take those seriously, but think about it. There are very few things in life that are not impacted by money. And there are very fewer things in life that are not impacted by communication. Those 2 skills we don't take seriously enough. And when we do, and they have the ability to communicate effectively, and they have the ability to be financially literate and financially independent, you've created a wonderful journey for people. Okay. At this level, the money machine isn't just feeding you. It's feeding generations. It's feeding communities. It's a different game. All right. Those are the 7 levels of wealth. Now, there's a bonus level. I'm going to throw it out there just so we have it, not talk about it a lot, but that bonus level is the ultra rich, okay? Those are the people that are mega wealthy, beyond what you would think, okay? Forbes says that there's 2,755 billionaires with a B, and they control $13.1 trillion, okay? So at this level, money isn't freedom, it's power. And the reason I want to talk about it is that look, I get it. Some people get demonized. Now, some of these billionaires and some folks, they take the power and it corrupts them. Others don't. Okay. They don't just play the game, they'll build their own stadium. They'll look at the different things. Okay. So I'm gonna be real. You don't need a gold-plated iPhone or a toilet that's made out of 24 karat gold, anything to win. 99.9% of us finish this. And it's not because of billions. It's because we had independence, we had freedom, we had integrity, we created a legacy, and we lived a legacy. All we need to do is worry about the first 7 rungs of the wealth ladder. The ultra, whatever. Okay? All right. These levels are not your prisons. They're your milestones. And everyone is climbable. Here's the move. Okay? First things first. Be brutally honest about where you are. And then take the next step. Follow the action steps. If you're not sure and you want to go deeper, then do me a favor. Go take the Financial Freedom Zone quiz. It will show you your zone. It will show you your exact step to climb higher. Because here's the truth. Earning more doesn't make you free. Building the money machine certainly does. All right? And I hope that this gave you some perspective, some things to consider to make that happen. All right? I hope that you found this valuable. And go click the link, take the Financial Freedom Zone quiz. It is free. And if you have any questions, any comments, do me a favor, leave them below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to have the conversations with you and see you on your path to financial freedom. After all, I believe it's your birthright. Let's go claim it. Okay? If you haven't done so already, make sure you've subscribed to the show. I need you. I want you. I want you on this journey for me and with me, so I can watch you shine and soar and celebrate you each step of the way. All right? Until I get a chance to see you on the next one, as I always say, always strive to live a life that outlives you. See you in the next one. Cheers for now.